The views and opinions of the Nissan Nation podcast are strictly that. They are views and opinions of Dave and Danny and its guests. They are not the views and opinions of Nissan Corporate Americas or otherwise, Japan, wherever. So now, a DRB and KGB media presentation, the Nissan Nation podcast. Hit it, Kelly.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? All things Nissan here in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. This is your Nissan Nation podcast. Daniel Groders. It's only been like 3 or 4 days since we last seen each other.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're live at WENT 2017, having celebratory drinks.
Libations, if you will. Yeah, killer went as usual. Tons of people hanging out. We're all hanging out in the pavilion here. Everybody's kind of gathered around in little groups, chatting, hanging out, drinking beers. It's been we just finished a raffle, Dave.
We did, man, and I didn't win anything, Dan.
I didn't win anything either, Dave. But that's all right. That's all right.
Well, I mean, CVT brought a big old green tent, and a big old green boy won it. So
yeah,
my hats off to you, James Soto.
Soto was excited about that, man. Well, I mean, which he should be, but
if Soto would get somebody to share that with, he might be a little more excited, you know. But anyways, yeah, big time here, and we have another half a day to go, Danny. We got the White Knuckle Rock Challenge to watch and see people tear their stuff up.
We're gonna have the big group photo out there right outside the pavilion where everybody's gonna line up, and we're gonna get some drone footage.
Of course we're going to.
You're going to get some drone footage.
Danny's just going to get some shut-eye here in a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's been a busy week, Danny. You flew in, man.
I flew in, what was it, Wednesday? I think I got here Wednesday, right after the meet and greet. I wasn't here for the meet and greet, which you guys all did, right?
I think we did it. I was here, I think.
Yeah. People were trickling in. Yeah, I got a little ride into town, rolled straight into, got some good Mexican food, and then.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I was like, I kept dialing Danny. I was like, Danny should be here by now, and I'm dialing your number and not answering or anything. And finally, I was like, Danny, where you at? And you're like, hey, I'm right down the road. So I was like, hey, come have Mexican.
Yeah, it was like literally like a block away. It worked out pretty good.
It's authentic. It's authentic.
Authentic Mexican food down here in Tennessee.
Because when you think Mexican food, you think Tennessee.
Yeah. I had to basically put my own onions and cilantro on my street tacos, which is.
I asked for quesadillas, and I don't know what.
Quesadillas. Y'all want some of them? They had carnitas though, which is pretty good.
Is that some weird specialty? I don't know.
No, it's pork.
Oh well, we had. And speaking of pork,
it's like pulled pork with not barbecue sauce, basically.
Well, a lot of big names here. We got. I see Mr. Bo Scott of Regal Nissan over there. Mr. Tony Hepler, Chris Tech,
Brady and James Overley are here. The big white knuckle winners from the last three. Well, Brady from the last 3 years. James is probably the first runner up. The big exploding truck from a couple years ago.
And which is the older one? Because
that's a good question. I don't know if I know.
Is he always?
Who's older, you or Brady? Brady is.
It makes sense now. It's all coming together.
Big brother, always holding you down, huh? James the big brother, Brady's the older brother. I get it.
But we got. Let's see. There's Miss Carrie Beasley. We got
old man
Mr. Flex.
We got the gargantuan Garth.
Yeah.
Should we pull? You know what? Let's pull Garth and Anthony over. I want to get Garth and Anthony on the podcast. Come over here, Garth and Anthony. Sit down. Let's chat.
Let's do it up. I like how it looked tall.
Short. I know.
It's like this was meant
okay.
to be set up this way.
I need to run back and get you a shot.
No, we're good. Garth, how tall are you?
6'6", 6'7", somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, depending on when you cut your hair. And Anthony, how tall are you?
At about 5'4",
yeah.
maybe.
These
on a
guys
good day, maybe.
When it's hot and you're a little swole.
Yeah.
See, I help him with stuff on top of his truck. He helps me with the undercarriage.
Nice.
So you do oil
Well,
changes.
You know what?
Yeah.
I always appreciate someone that can help me with the undercarriage. You know what I'm saying?
So how is y'all's Went going? I know Garth's been jumping over everything around here.
Man, it's been great. It's been nice weather. Everything has been just perfect, man. Perfect.
Very colorful, Anthony. Is this your first podcast?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Not after today. Not after today. So Garth, how was your Went? I know Luke said that you were skying all over the place in your new truck.
I only did that for a little bit. We got turned around, and there was a gate that was there that was not on the map, and went. And while we were playing with the map and checking different options, I said, "Ooh, that looks like fun." And
Well-
Luke has videos.
Before we go any further, tell the audience a little bit about your truck, because most people, you know, obviously we got voices on here and people, and
Tell us about Superman.
Your truck's got some pretty non-typical mods done to it.
So at Trail Pressures, I've been asked a number of times, "Hey, are your tires okay? They look flat." I'm running my tires intentionally at about 4 psi.
Nice.
I have beadlocks. So at Trail Pressure, I technically have a lowered Xterra.
Yeah.
I have less ground clearance than a stock Xterra.
Yeah.
However, I have about, at the limiting straps, about 16 inches of down travel front and rear,
Right.
and enough fun stuff inside that it flies. I jump it off everything. I just built to go and take trails. The gravel trails here at Went, the G trails, is built to take those about 60, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. So it's a long travel truck in the truest sense of the word. Yeah. I mean, you have King coilovers in the front. You have long bypasses in the back.
Both the King coilovers and the shocks in the back, King shocks in the back, both of them are the internal bypasses. All four corners have King bump cans sitting in there as well.
Right.
So
right. I got the joy of hopping in there and riding with you for the day, and it was sweet because we hung back for a minute, and I was like, all right, man, let's see what this thing can do, and we were on a trail. I mean, there was some good bumps and stuff, and when he smashed on the pedal and flew through some of those trails, I had a very short moment of remembrance of the race truck when I was racing, and man, that brought back some memories. That truck handles well. I mean, it's nice to be able to fly over a bunch of this stuff and
have a
float
spine
around
afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things where you're in your typical trail ride that I still love to do. I love to be a part of it and have so much fun doing it. But you're in that typical trail ride, like, this would be so much more comfortable if I could just speed up a bit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because when I think rock challenge, I think how fast can I get up that really quickly?
Yeah.
So, anything interesting happened to you guys this week? Good comment.
Good, bad, or other.
Hey, so much went on. It's hard to sum up what's the best.
Yeah.
Well, we've been riding together, Anthony. Carrie's been in our group.
Yes, she did it extremely well.
She did. I'm very like excited because she shows this nervousness, but she's a really good driver. So
She really is.
It's yes, we're talking about you, Carrie Beasley.
Sorry, I was pointing out Carrie's man over here on the mics.
But yeah, so just like the rock stuff, like she just has to do that deep breath, and then it's like she takes it on and doesn't worry about it.
Just to keep it from holding her breath is the best part.
Yeah.
Passing out at the wheel is never good.
Thanks
I
to a
agree.
good trail lead too. That brings her confidence level that much.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, were you with her on the ladies' run today?
I was a photographer on the ladies' run today, and
did you put any balloons or anything in your chest?
no, I
What?
did not. I had the suggestion been there, I probably would have.
He took it out, but he did have the braids. And
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say the beard threw that idea out the window.
So kind of what, Anthony, what you've been here a couple of years now. What's your favorite? I mean, what do you look forward to when you're doing this event?
Coming down is making sure she has fun, making sure she's got her time behind the wheel.
Yeah.
With her, it's her rig. It's her gig when we come. I make it all about her and support her 100%. I come down because you guys, the people, everybody down here is pretty much like a family.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure.
Well, Garth, this is your second time?
Mm-hmm.
I remember the last time you won some headers, didn't you?
I got an intake and some sliders.
Oh, sliders.
Oh,
okay.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now your truck can fly. You don't need those sliders.
I use the sliders a lot.
Yeah. Do you? Does it?
Being where it sits very low, coming down some of the bigger ledges, bigger drops, where you have a lot of people sitting up on 3, 4, 5 inches of lift. In overall, I'm sitting down. I only have probably at full pressure about 2 inches of lift. That's including 35-inch tires.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And because the way I go out and run it sometimes, it gets, you want it to be squatty, you don't want it to be top heavy.
Yeah. Going around corners and stuff, like squatting down. And your truck's wide, too, so it's 6 inches over what a stock Xterra would be, roughly?
I
or
don't know that, but again,
hub to hub,
at
basically.
trail pressure, 4 PSI, outside of tire to outside of tire is just under 7'2".
Yeah.
So I'm driving an F350, Ford Super Duty, whatever. I'm driving Luke's big old tow truck down the trail.
And it's technically speaking, it's a long travel. It's a Titan long travel kit made to work on your truck, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wider than a Titan is what he's running. And then on top of that, you have 35-inch tires, offset wheels. So, yeah, you stick out, I don't know, 5-6 inches outside the wheel well in the front and the back. It's got a funny look, for sure.
The rear wheels have no actual tire in the wheel well, or have maybe an inch of tire inside the wheel well.
Yeah.
But, so it looks a little different.
Yeah.
It handles a lot differently, but it goes out and hangs with everything you're familiar with.
Heck yeah.
Well,
Heck yeah.
And speaking of hanging out, we got Mr. James Soto here. James, sit down and talk to us for a second.
All right.
Hold on. I'm gonna call one more guy over. Hey, Dan, we need you.
Oh yeah, we need Dirty Dan.
We're gonna have to talk, we're gonna have to chat with Dan real quick. Yeah, Dan.
We need the
Is there any more
GLX
Dan's
guys
over there.
here.
You see? Soto, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good, bro.
How's your win going, James?
Well,
Better now.
It's going very good.
Yeah, I would say so. You want to fill in everybody what you won tonight?
Well, the lovely folks at CBT Tents gave us a tent, and I happened to win it. Or won it, I should say.
You do realize that's like neon green, my color, right?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So talk about hurt. Ooh, we got Unicorn Dan here.
Well, this
Danny's-
is a sight.
Danny's
Let's
putting.
see how the audio is with the unicorn head on. I gotta take a picture with this thing. It's way louder in my. I can't see anything. Sorry, I don't mean to wreck this podcast, but
Oh, you can't wreck this too much, man.
No.
As Danny came to see his phone to take a selfie.
I can't see if I'm doing a good selfie.
You got it. You got it right there.
I can't see if I'm.
You're not even pushing a button, Dan. There you go. You got it.
Oh, man.
All right. So Unicorn Dan got his phone.
Yeah, so anyway, I think back to the 10 I won. Well, first of all, I was very excited.
Well, we clearly, as you were like Tiger Woods out there, like you just a hole in one on a par 3.
Yeah, and, Mr. Daniel Gruters gave me a great idea because the local park we go to out by us, GLX's stomping ground, is a park called Badlands Offroad Park in Attica, Indiana.
Right.
And thanks to Ryan Miller, we realized that wheeling a rig with a rooftop tent at that park is not a good idea.
Oh, so you're giving it to me. Thank you, James.
No.
Oh, that was awesome.
No. My
James.
segue is that Gruder said.
You read a segue.
Wow, professional James.
Wow,
Soto.
man. James Soto, off-road segue through
Well, I think,
Badlands.
I think
That's a step
I
up.
think there's a weight limit on a Segway. I'm down to 345 from
Yeah, James is
392.
not old Jim, as they call him around here. He's not a small man. Imagine a linebacker, dark hair.
Defensive lineman in high
Yeah, I
school.
was
first
going
of
to say,
all.
don't let
All
linebacker.
conference.
Sorry, my bad. Offensive lineman.
Defensive
Defensive
lineman. Get
lineman.
it right, sir. That's an insult.
He could probably eat 3 chickens in one sitting.
One of his nut sacks was the football.
Yes, they could be replaced, interchanged.
So besides James, we got Mr. Crash.
Dan Melendez
Fish on Dan.
Fish on Dan, yeah. Fish on Dan had an interesting went so far.
Yes, Dan. What happened to your truck, man? It's sitting literally right behind us.
Well, the very first trail that I got to ride on for during this year's event, it was Trail 35 right here.
Yeah, right. First day too, right?
The very first day, yes, definitely. So it is a trail that is rated Black Diamond difficult, but it rained a lot Monday.
It did rain. It like all day.
Tuesday, actually. It was Tuesday. It rained all day Tuesday. I got here Tuesday, and it was raining and raining and raining. So the trail was very, 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 very wet, very slick. So what happened, I don't know what happened, but at one point, I got to this little rock, and I put the truck in reverse because I got a little stuck in there.
Yeah.
And I put the truck in reverse. I pushed the pedal down, and nothing was moving. I put it in reverse, and nothing is moving. I'm like, uh-oh, something happened here.
Yeah.
So actually what ended up happening, and this is an advice for any one of you guys out there.
Tech tip by Dan Melendez. Pay close attention right here because this could ruin a weekend. Almost.
Definitely, most definitely. If you do an ARB upgrade from the factory locker, make sure that whoever does it, swap the shafts out. The left shaft, rear shaft, is supposed to go in the right, and the right is supposed to go in the left.
Yes, the rear axle shafts are different size in an M226 rear locker for an Xterra. You have an Xterra with the rear M226, and so the right rear has a longer shaft than the left rear. Correct.
The passenger is the longer side.
Yeah. So if you do put an M226 in, you have to swap this. Or I'm sorry, if you do put an ARB locker in that, an aftermarket locker, you have to swappy the shafts from one side to the other due to the fact that one of them does not engage the full amount of splines, right?
Correct. So when we took the shaft out, we realized that about a half inch, inch to a half inch.
I'm looking at it right now. The half inch of his axle shaft is literally. It looks like it's been machined. And there's about 3 inches, or maybe another 2 inches of splines that are perfectly fine. But you can tell that those splines that were engaged, that should have been fully engaged, were not engaged because it's shorter. So
yes. So what ultimately happened was that rear axle shaft was actually stripped out, and then in the front we haven't tear it apart yet, but we think that I'm Titan swap, so I got the M205 in the front. We think that for the M205 you don't get the full half shaft, you get a stub that goes inside the differential.
Yeah, the stub shaft. Yeah,
the stub shaft, and then you get your actual half shaft attached to that, but via 6 bolts. Yeah. So we think that either that stub shaft broke off or the C-clip came off or something.
Right.
After I'm done with my rear differential, hopefully tomorrow, we'll start tearing apart that front diff and see what's wrong.
And I was part of the team, so I got in.
Yes, there's a story to this.
Wednesday, I got in Wednesday night. We had our Mexican food, and then we got back to and I heard all about hey, Dan's truck is basically stuck up on the trail because they got everybody else off the trail. They left his truck up there, and they were like, tomorrow we'll go figure it out. So a bunch of the big guys, with the big straight axle trucks, or the guys with the big 35s and stuff like that, they said, hey, let's go out tonight and check it out and see if we can't recover it tonight. So I was, whatever. I just hopped in the truck and followed. And we went out and tried to recover his truck.
Tried.
That night. Yeah, tried is a key word there. And we ended up going out there and winching and daisy chaining a couple trucks together and yanking on that thing for, I don't know. We were out until 1 in the morning. I mean, we probably got out there at like 10, spent about 3 hours trying to yank him up this trail.
And by the way, I really appreciate you guys going out there and trying to recover.
We made a hell of it. We gave it the old college try, but in truth, trying to do a recovery at night is a total shit show because you can't picking lines and picking which line to go up and where to go and stuff like that. And
I agree.
That's always fun at the pitch of night.
It's hard. I mean, you're slipping, and it was still pretty wet out there.
It
was a long day. It was a long night for me. I mean, I started flying at 3 in the morning. I remember driving back, my head's bouncing all over the place. I'm like falling asleep I cruised out there and I was 4-wheel drive patrol, which is a total beast.
Yeah,
by
which
the
I
way.
didn't. I've yet to get to ride in.
Oh my gosh, dude! You ride in that thing, and you're like, I gotta get one of these.
Well, you know what? The funny story was when after Daniel broke, before Daniel broke, Joello from Florida, he grenaded a CV shaft.
Yeah.
And when we say
Oh,
grenaded,
yeah.
he grenaded, and it was the outside CV shaft where the little balls are in it,
Yeah.
and that was cast. I guess they're made of steel, but that shattered. And
Yeah, it
it would
exploded
make a
one
really
pretty
good
good.
trophy.
Yeah.
So we went down, and I had a tow rig, and I said, well, we kind of came to agreement that I got the tow rig, and this was before that we knew that Daniel's rather large and capable Xterra would not fit on my cheap old U-Haul. Which, granted, I got a discount because it is a cheap old U-Haul. Just in case anyone gets a cheap old U-Haul, fight for a discount. I got one. We went down a blue-trailed Trail 81, and you want to talk about peanut butter? Ooh, you better not have a peanut allergy. Otherwise,
Yeah.
bring bread, because that was
Yeah,
very
when it-
sketchy. We had to trim trees because we thought they were coming through, and shame to us for thinking it was going to be easy peasy. Oh, we just winch him up and he'd go down this blue trail. But no. But we slid down this trail, me and Joello. I mean, brakes locked, ABS is firing off, sliding down this trail. We get back down. We went to the main office, and we said we went down Trail 81, and they're like, what do you mean you went down Trail 81? Trail 81 is awful right now. And we're like, really? Because
We just did it.
Because one Xterra has three-wheel drive, I have no lockers, and I was just locking up.
Yeah. when it rains out here, this mud and stuff. I mean, even the easiest trail, when it's super wet like that, it just turns into just slick nightmare.
I have heard
spin
peanut
tire.
butter so much this week that I don't think I want to have peanut butter for a while.
Yeah, I can
No
believe
chunky
that.
in your life, huh, James?
No,
So-
it was silky smooth.
So, James, kind of what's been the highlight of the event? You've been to a few of these now, so what's been the highlight this year for you?
Yes. This is my third time here. First time trailering my Xterra and having a 1,000-mile round trip. I got to have a little more fun because I knew all I had to do was get it back to a trailer. But yesterday, I almost killed my spotter, Kevin Smith.
Well, you don't kill your spotters, James. I mean, that's job one.
Well, here's
your
the
spotters
thing.
can kill you, but you don't kill your spotters.
He was in a safe area, I like to say, a little close. We were on a rock ledge on 16 going up, and I had to bump it, and I bumped it, and next thing you know, I see hood and sky, and I'm like, oh, where's Kevin? We thump down, and he is halfway staggeredly, slipperily running, and that.
Yeah, your trail leader should not run away from you, James.
And for the man who built the drawers I won last year, I probably shouldn't do that to him. But it was all smiles afterwards. But oh man,
the man's cleaning his drawers, so it works out, doesn't it? Well, we've got a legend of y'all's area sitting here.
Yeah, we have he's a legend in the Xterra world, anyways.
hey there, I think I know that
Wild
guy.
Bill.
I think he's
Wild
from
Bill
Central
here.
Wisconsin. There.
Yeah.
Hey there, Bill.
James, would you be willing to give up your seat for the legend that is Buck Snort?
Oh, I have no problem. Bill, you take it over, sir. I am out.
Bill, come here, sit down, because you've been part of a few stories this year. Well, I mean, you've been part of many stories over the years, but
legends.
the many
legends.
legends.
And myths.
So first, let me ask you, how's this weekend going for you? You having a good time?
Oh, it's great. My wife came out
Yeah.
to see the scenery, see the crazy guys that come out here.
Yeah, it's the first time I met your wife, which is nice.
Yeah, and I told her about you before I came out.
She's been
I
fairly
said,
warned.
You prepped her.
Be prepared. Be prepared for something different.
Yeah, and so you were out on the trail when Dan broke.
Yep.
And when we were ahead, the funny thing is we were all getting ready. All of us dudes were getting ready to go out and recover Dan. Which that night we didn't recover him. Like we called it at midnight. We said we're not getting him out of here. We're going home. Which to the happiness of many people on the trail, we were like, good. Obviously, we're not getting him out of here. But you pulled up while we were all getting ready, and you said, "What are you guys doing?" And I said, "Apparently, they want to go recon and see if they can't recover Dan tonight." And you said, "What the hell are you guys doing? Why don't you recount?"
I thought you guys are nuts.
Because you were there when he broke.
I was there when it broke, so I knew the area, and there wasn't any trees. We had to search for trees just to winch off of, and then you had the dark, and the slick rock, and it was clay, and guy right where Dan was sitting, we had to have him turn around, and he was on clay, and he almost tipped over.
Yeah.
During the day, so.
Yeah,
I can just imagine you guys out there trying to do that.
It was a hell of a climb. There's 2 lines too, and we ended up trying to yank him up the harder of the 2, because we went back the next morning and recovered him, but we ended up trying to take him up the harder of the 2 lines, which was the right line, because it was a little more. It was more dirt, which ended up being worse because it was a lot slicker. But when we went back up there the next day, we ended up just turning him around, and he kind of cruised down the opposite way, which. And that's kind of how it is when you go there with the lights, the lovely sun that shows you all the different options. It's a little bit different package.
It was a full moon though.
Yeah, that
doesn't
help when
that had something to do
when
with
there's trees everywhere.
But I knew I wasn't going out. There was cold beer to be had.
Yeah, man. And you were like, "Have fun. See you guys later. Good choices, suckers."
Sat up the pavilion and rekindled some memories with people.
Yeah.
Which
I wish that's what I did.
Which this is all about. Yeah, I haven't been out here for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I met Wild Bill in Moab the first time I ever went to Moab.
2013.
This was like 2009. You met my brother, right?
2010.
Maybe it was 2010. You met my brother, didn't you? When I went out there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was the first time I had the Silver Xterra. So Wild Bill was like one of the first. He had the condo next to us. He was like one of the first dudes. I was like, "Hey man, these people are cool." He's like, he's making the best enchiladas I've ever tasted in my life. Like, so Wild Bill has a very long history with the Xterra stuff, and to see him be able to come out here and get back in it, he's been out of the scene a little bit for the last few years.
And he just did like a trip that me and you did. He was at Black Bear
he was
Pass
in Ouray, right?
I went out
2 weeks before us or something like that.
Gone Ouray.
Yeah.
And did Black Bear Pass, imaging, everything except for Poughkeepsie. But if anybody thinking of doing it, don't stop from doing it, because that's the best scenery.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
go out there with a group and enjoy it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Now, your adventures didn't end on that first day, obviously, and we'll interview more of the people. But I wanted to get kind of your take on the Don Norberto episode, because you witnessed firsthand the recovery of Don Norberto Breslin. Why don't you give us a little lowdown on your perspective?
That's
of
top
what
shelf
happened.
Breslin.
Yeah, that's the better of the 2 Breslins. You know Breslin is El Presidente. The real commander in chief is the Don. He makes the real decisions. He's the real pants in the relationship there. Tell us the lowdown on what happened to Don on the trail you guys were running. I guess it was the next day.
Next day, it would have been Thursday. Yeah, I was following him all day. He was in front of me on the trails, and prior to this episode, there was an obstacle, and we realized his right front tire was flat, so we changed that out. And then found out that somebody that set up his stents, automatic
somebody is Stephen Breslin, who didn't show up here. Stephen Breslin.
I'm not
blah,
naming
blah,
names, but
blah blah blah. I
that could be
can't
a
fix my truck.
possibility.
Blah blah blah.
Set his deflators at 9.5 pounds, and
Whoops!
I noticed the tire low, and I got out 2 tire gauges to
Setting
make
the
sure
Don
they
up
weren't.
for failure, Stephen.
Way to
We're
go,
gonna basically
Brez.
try and throw Stephen under the bus every chance we get, because he is not here this year to defend himself.
That's right. You must be able to defend yourself, even in this community.
Heck yeah.
But we got him going, and he went down, and I went down that obstacle, and the guy behind me got stuck. And I would have been right behind Norberto.
Norberto.
when he went over, but I had to pull my
tail
tail
Don,
gunner.
sit down there a minute, because I have some questions.
I had to pull the tail gunner, and as soon as we got unhooked and I got caught up to where Don was, or Norbs, I see this truck laying almost on its side, and I thought he was just in a simple ditch. And I jumped out of my truck and ran up to his door and started shaking the door, and I didn't realize he was precariously balanced.
He was precariously balanced on the edge of basically like a 40-foot cliff of death.
Fake news. It was all fake news. It was all Photoshop.
And I see Norbs just sitting there calmly like he was trying to light a cigar, but was too afraid because if he moved his hand, the balance in the truck would send him to certain death.
We were pretty sure, though, that he was reaching for a stogie, and that's when the truck went off.
Yeah. And I was taking a nap, and I got a call from Holden, who's the trail leader, and he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, Don tried to drive off a cliff, and we're doing a recovery right now." And I got it back earlier, and I was swinging in a hammock. You know, the nice breeze was blowing, and I was like,
Danny's trying to relax.
I was like, "What? Don tried to kill himself?" You know, like I was like rallying the troops to go recover him, and they're like, "No, he's way out there." And then I saw a picture, and Luke says, "Bill's out there with him," and so I text Holden. I said, "Go ask Bill what to do. He's got this. Don't worry about it."
But we couldn't get Norbs out because if he would have got out, it changed the balance of the truck, and he would have gone over getting out of the truck. It was that precarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we first thing we did was get an anchor point and get it to a slider so Don or Norbs could get out, and then once we got Norbs out, and he was all right, luckily.
Of course, Norbs has ice in his veins. Nothing phases Norbs. He was just mad. I think, and this is from the reports. I've interviewed a lot of people. A lot of the reports was he was saying. I was a little freaked out because I thought some of my stoves were going to go out the window when I went over.
And I would have been upset too because
I wouldn't have stoves for the whole weekend.
I'm a fellow cigar smoker, and Norbs just gave me one of his personal favorites, which I'll now enjoy.
And Bill came over to the window and said, "Hey, Norbs, you still got those stoves? They didn't fall out the window, right?" Because Norbs was on his side, so they were making sure that the safety of the stoves was set up.
I never liked you, Grooters.
But then the rescue went into effect. We got it secured, got a winch off the front of the fabulously made HEP front bumper.
And sliders, I think.
That was performed beautifully, but we didn't know that somebody forgot to put extra bolts on it.
Breslin.
Had we known that,
He's straight under the bus right now.
we might have selected a different option, but we got it attached to the back and to the front.
Got
put a safety rope to the middle just in case something went. And our group was fantastic. Everybody stayed calm. We worked it back and forth and drug him sideways up the hill by the front and the back.
Yeah, nice.
Which was
from the pictures that I saw in the description of how you recovered him, because he was, to paint the picture, basically you have a trail, and on the left side is a big hill, and on the right side is a big hill up. The right side is almost like right where the trail ends. There's basically a big drop-off, a huge drop-off. And so Norb just dropped a tire, which kind of slid off the side, which caused his whole truck to slide. And the picture that I saw is basically the two front tires were off the trail, and the only tire that was still kind of on the trail was the left rear. Yep. And he was still facing still facing parallel to the trail, but he was off. His truck was almost, I would say, maybe a 45, if not more, degree angle off of the trail.
And there'll be pictures.
There'll be tons of pictures. You got to check out Nissan Nation podcast and WENTwindrock to check out those pictures because they'll be up. But it was from my seeing all the pictures and talking to everybody about it, brilliant recovery. Holden stayed calm. Holden's a Marine. His dad's a Marine, so you know, it's not the
And
first
Patrick
stressful
was
situation.
is a Marine.
Well,
Yeah.
and what a way to here's your first trail leading assignment.
Yeah,
and,
that was his first trail leading
Don't
assignment,
let the
too.
old guy kill himself.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a brilliant recovery.
Well, Danny, there's a certain surprise here for you, buddy, because this is kind of a tradition for
Danny.
Garth.
Oh, jeez, Garth.
So
Yeah.
last
So
couple
we got
years ago.
we got Danny's birthday's coming up, and normally this is on his birthday. So last time Garth gave him a shot, it was a little sketchy. It was a can with electrical tape.
It was
this
a can of
time,
electrical tape. It was a can cut in half, and the electrical tape was around a rim, like because he really cared about me apparently, so I wouldn't cut my lips.
Well, it was
so it was a
important.
real classy birthday present.
So
This-
let's sing Danny happy birthday.
this is not made with the
What?
machete, the shot glass, but that is for you, my friend.
so happy birthday to you, Danny.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Danny. Happy birthday to you.
Rest in
now
peace.
Danny's going into recovery as soon as this
Horrible.
Oh,
No, that's horrible.
oh, that smells bad from here.
Oh, dude,
How
I
can
feel
you
it coming
take
out of my
that?
nose right now.
You will have fun dreams.
is over. Yeah, I slept like a baby, Danny, after a lot more than that.
Oh God, that's horrible.
For
That
visual-
was good.
For visuals, his eyes are popping and his nose is running.
Oh, Danny's burping.
I must have taken 6 shots of scotch last night, and that's like 7 times worse than that scotch.
Luke, would you like some too?
Yeah, Luke, would you like to die? No, I thought it was good. That's the Oh, okay. So right now, Garth is squirting the whatever out of an Aqua Viva water bottle.
It's whatever you gave me the other night, right?
Oh, it literally.
Smell it.
Get that shit out of here, dude. That stuff is horrible.
I didn't think it was bad.
Oh.
So Danny's got the cold
You
sweats all of a
people from
sudden.
Not California, you have some weird taste buds, dude. Every time I come out here, I'm like, oh, this is good. And everybody else is like, that's gross. And then you guys are like, taste this, it's delicious. And then it's like, I could use that on my wallpaper maybe to clean it off. Get the fuck out of here. Holy shit, that's gross.
Well, there's a lot more of that there, Dan.
Yeah, and it's literally in like the, it's not even like, so it's it's like a squirt water bottle called Aqua Viva, which I've never heard of in my life. Like, you don't even find this in like Afghanistan.
Just drink Fiji, degruders.
Oh, yeah, we only drink Fiji water in California.
That and flowers,
Dude, I don't
some
even
flowers.
know. I don't even know what to say at this
Danny's
point.
lost at a loss for.
Read the fine print.
Oh, okay.
Coming from the Midwest and going to these events, I
Budita
notice
Ko Novi,
people on the West
Aqua
Coast
Viva,
really
Sakwa
don't have the
Optimal.
experience drinking,
Come.
and they get
What
carried
is
away
this,
very
dude?
easily.
That's Cyrillic.
Cyrillic?
I have friends across the world.
Here's the thing: they use it to
That's
clean out
that's
the
straight
inside
from
to sterile
Serbia,
water.
and it's made with.
Is it supposed to be in this bottle?
Yes.
Oh shit! You buy it in a bottle that looks like a water bottle, and it's actually fucking turpentine.
And it can also be used as brake fluid,
You buy it in whatever bottle it
brake
comes in.
cleaner, and windshield wiper
This is
fluid.
like Serbian. This is Serbian moonshine. Literally, this is fucking. Holy shit, dude! Hey, no joke.
You are in
Tennessee. I wish
Gruder,
people could
you
grab
are
my
in
picture.
Tennessee.
Where's my phone, dude?
This is Shine Country,
I've
Gruder.
never seen Danny at such a loss for words.
Oh
I
my
thought the
gosh,
last time
dude.
I thought the last time that he got him.
Selfie time.
This is
Oh man,
that's going right to Instagram.
dude, that shit is. That's. If I was to guess at what Serbian moonshine would taste like, that's probably what it would be. Like Ukrainians cooking shit up while they're getting bombed by Russia and stuff. They're like, yeah, we gotta find some fucking booze, you know? They're like cooking up some old shit they found in a burned out building, and they're like, cook this up, we'll make some booze out of it.
Well, speaking of the booze patrol, we got Mr. Luke Pankow here.
Luke, sit down.
The kegerators, we're going to call him this week.
Yeah, 515 kegerator.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, lifestyle off-road kegerator.
515 does not condone drinking.
No, 515 is a brilliant. 515 Racing is a brilliant nonprofit racing organization.
As
Luke
Danny,
Pankow.
Danny
Not,
nearly
you know,
pukes.
It's a not so silent motorsports organization.
Sorry. I'm reeling over here. Luke, you're gonna have to take over for a minute.
It's not fantastic, but it's smoother than moonshine. Danny
No,
is
it is not.
literally
No, it is not.
dying
that,
across
that
the
freaking
table from me
moonshine that
right
Dave
now.
brought me the first year, the real live stuff, that was moonshine.
Yeah, it's right there.
Danny, speaking of that, I mean, we can clean your palate with some real moonshine. Danny has
if you're ready for
instant
this
regret
podcast
on
to
his
be
face.
over.
All right, so Dan, I'm gonna take a shot, and then you gotta take a shot.
That's not the real stuff though, is it?
This is the same shit. Yeah.
That's old buddy.
Every
old
year,
buddy
every
moonshine?
year, every year, Dan, I pour the moonshine from that year into the same thing.
Oh, it's
the gift.
like, oh, what's that bread that you just like you make?
yeast,
and
yeah,
you
yeast.
make it and then you give a little piece to your friend, and it's like community bread or like. There's a word
Communion?
for it. No, not communion bread. It's like friendship bread or something. You ever hear that? Maybe it's a homeschool.
Must
thing.
be a California thing.
It's a California homeschool thing.
So the you mean like your mom bought some white bread and gave you some and?
No, man, my mom like homeschool people do stuff like make bread and like grow corn.
Was that a accredited course for you making bread?
Yeah,
So-
I know how to make bread, dude.
So Danny's
It's
got
kinda like making beer.
Danny's got his moonshine.
Here goes the moonshine, and the podcast from here on out will go downhill. Thank you.
We're
folks,
not
for
responsible for what happens now. He sips.
I want to see a gulp.
A big gulp.
That's 12 times better than that shit that Garth brought over here. That just tastes like friggin' Alkies, dude.
I got a whole put it in today.
Garth tastes like. It literally tasted like something you would get at Home Depot. Like acetone or something. You're like, oops, I drank acetone. You know, like you're working on your car. And
Are
you
you
like lick
saying
your
are you saying
finger.
we should call poison control for you right now?
Dude, I'm serious, dude.
Well, I'm sorry,
That's
I don't
not
mean to cut in, but Luke, you're from the area where they have Hawkeye vodka.
Yeah.
And when I went to college in Dubuque, son, let me tell you, that you could get rather drunk, hate yourself, and then clear any codes you had on your O2 sensors or MAFs.
It sounds like you're every Friday night, James.
Well,
what he's talking about is like $12 for a liter of vodka or whiskey.
Five.
Like plastic bottle status.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a plastic bottle. It's called Hawkeye vodka, or there's Hawkeye whiskey, and it's just like colored.
I have a question.
Grain
for you.
alcohol.
Yeah. So I went to Iowa this year for the Tulip Festival, as you were very well aware of. Yeah, I mean, you living in Iowa. I have family from Iowa, and my buddy bought, or my cousin brought some beer out. Oh crap! Now I just
Peachtree?
lost it. No, it was like Grain Belt.
Oh.
The worst beer I've ever
Grain
tasted
Belt
in my
is
in my
more
life,
of a
dude.
Wisconsin thing. I think that's actually where it's made, but it's basically
Piss.
like
Tell me where to buy it.
like it's horrible.
It's horrible,
It's-
dude. He's like, this is our Miller Lite or whatever, and I'm like, this is your virgin butthole.
No, see, in Iowa you
Whatever
drink
that's for.
Busch Light. Busch Light
Busch,
is
that's
only
a
around
Wisconsin thing, dude.
because
Camo cans,
Busch Light's
camo
only
cans.
around because of Iowa. If you live south of Interstate 80,
Yep.
I mean, Busch Light is basically what brings you dirt track racing.
Well, my
down there they call it Blue Yummies. So
Yeah,
it's Blue
yeah.
Yummies in Iowa.
Well, also in the fall they bring out the camo cans, and you were the life of the party if you showed up at a college party and you had the camo cans.
This is the
this
boozy
is true.
podcast you're listening to right
I
now.
swear
The
we're about Nissan.
Boozers of all boozing.
Boozy Nation.
Apparently, Boozy Nation is now Nissan Nation Booze Fest.
So Luke,
Nissan Nation's shitty booze fest.
Yeah, right? Which booze is more shitty? Let's compare states.
we're in Tennessee, so no contest.
Well, in Illinois we got this lovely thing called Tawaka, and us and GLX
Let's
love
not
that.
quiet you,
Hey.
you whore bait.
Danny calls that
Get
devil
outta here.
sperm.
Nobody drinks Tawaka. Stop trying to bring it back to some kind of Nissan thing. Kevin, if you listen to this, go stick your finger in your butt.
I mean,
I got to tell you, all the guys in Moab this year were really disappointed that nobody walked up with Tawaka.
Nobody
until, like,
had it?
Thursday.
Oh,
there
wow.
was some Canadians there that were biking that just happened to walk by with Tawaka, and those guys all got super excited about it.
Canadians don't know what they're doing in the first place.
So Luke, we've heard you guys have had some recoveries.
Yeah, Luke was with us on the nighttime
of
thing.
the new night run.
The new night run
The
is
shit night
rescuing. It's called Rescue Melendez.
I think it's an
called-
annual
it's called
event.
Failed Rescue Melendez.
So what you do is you go out there at about 10 o'clock at night when it's pitch black, and you pull somebody halfway up a trail just to return in the morning to pull somebody all the way down the trail.
So, but from, Daniel was kind of telling us and Bill was giving us perspective, but the only thing I know of it, like, you sent me a picture because I was like, hey, when are you coming down? And you're like, I don't know, man. And you sent me a picture, and all I see is this bright light. And I'm like, I don't know what this means. I don't know if this is good or bad or.
So basically, Chris with NizTech is all about recovery. If he can go out and help, he is more than willing. There's a few times where I've been sitting next to him, and he's heard of a truck being stuck, and he's ready to go. His keys are in his hand, and he's ready to run. If you've ever seen him, you know he doesn't want to run, but he's willing to do it if it's about a rescue. So we go out to dinner at the Mexican restaurant, which Nestor's the only one that can actually pronounce the name. But we go out to eat. It's a Went tradition, and we decide that we're going to go scope out the situation. So we...
Sorry, I'm trying to get my wife's attention as you describe this.
So we go out, and I think we had 6 trucks. It was NizTech and Oz 4-wheel drive and Ryan Miller.
Which Oz 4-wheel drive, Richard, that's like a whole nother experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he basically goes, this patrol is built for recovery, so that's what he was all about.
So him and Chris now are like best buddies.
Yes, so him and Chris, and then me in my truck, Ryan Miller,
Was it the GU
Brady,
or GU
because Brady had
control?
been working on trucks all week and hadn't had a chance to wheel, so he came out, and then
That sounds bad. Like he's been working on trucks all week, so let's go kind of wheel to go work on a truck.
Right. He was so excited to get on a trail, he didn't care what the purpose was. So we go out there, and I'm kind of under the impression that we're just going to assess the situation, see what we have to deal with. But then I start pulling down the trail, and I stop and park. And then Chris goes, I'm a fat kid, so I'm going to drive all the way down the trail. And so he keeps driving and driving and driving, and he gets down there, and so him and Oz drive all the way down, and they are all ready to do recovery. So what we do is we daisy chain them. We put NizTech up front, and we take a rope and put it from NizTech down to the patrol for Oz, and then Oz down to Daniel's truck. And basically what had happened is he broke an axle shaft front and rear.
Right.
So after NizTech waved his wand over the truck, he was able to get Daniel's truck under somewhat of its own power. We didn't know how reliable it would be or how it would hold up, but it could go front and back to a degree.
Well, front and back is important when you're off-road.
It's basically one front drive and one rear drive tire.
Yes. So he's open, more or less, with lockers on, which is not a good thing. So we try really hard to have NizTech go forward, pulling the patrol, which the patrol is pulling Daniel. And how many hours were we out there? Three or four, 5?
Yeah. We had a solid, I want to say we had a solid 2 hours of running winch line and straps, yanking and banking, just running up and down that trail.
And we made it maybe a third of the way up.
Danny,
No. We made it probably 80 yards.
Yes.
A third of the way up the one hill.
Yes.
That was like basically, that one hill was basically the hard part.
Yeah.
So, Danny, you get out here, man. I know you guys do recovery out in your area, man, but it's like this has to be, for you, a whole different crapshoot of recovery.
Well, in truth, dude, the most recovery I've ever done is, twice in Moab. And that's just, winch here and there or something like that. But the most recovery I've ever done is here. That trail that we did last year. Which
39.
If you listen to the podcast, you know from last Went, it was. I ran more winch line that trail than I've ever done in my life. And then, sure enough, dude, I land, I eat some Mexican food, come back to the condo, and we go out until 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm running winch line again. And I'm like, what the hell?
So
I mean, we don't do recovery like that where I'm
right.
at. I mean,
like, I know a lot of people don't think the East Coast like knows how to wheel hard because of Moab and all that, but clearly, I mean, like when they get stuck here, they get stuck here.
It was so bad that the park has its own recovery team, and Daniel told them where his truck was, and they just said, sorry, call this number.
You're out of luck. Sorry, buddy.
I mean, we all thought it was going to be a quote once me and Joello got back to camp to make our plan A of where it was going to be easy peasy. We would just winch up, and I bring my truck and trailer and haul them out. We easily thought it was going to be at least $1,000 recovery, and they said, oh, no, we ain't even touching that.
So y'all were like at Plan Z.
but in truth, the next morning, because we all like rallied the next morning, basically the big guys went out and said, we're going to go do this in the daytime. We'll be way better equipped to do it. We went out there, took a good scope of the trail and all the lines and everything, and we said, what the F were we doing last night? Back him back down. Because we basically backed him down to the spot that he was originally stuck in, winched him a little bit to get him into the correct direction. And Luke, you basically just rolled his truck down.
I let gravity do work. We basically we erased history. So we spent all this nighttime sitting out there until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we just went out there in the daylight and put the truck in reverse and went back to where we started and drove it down the trail.
Yeah,
wow.
It's amazing how much easier things look. Because at nighttime we were like, dude, this is going to be a bear.
Well, and people always want to do night runs, and we do a night run, and it's an incredibly good time. But the shadows that get cast at night across the rocks and hills,
everything
are
looks
unimaginable.
10-foot drop, and it's only like a foot.
Right. I've been in a truck before where people start freaking out because they think they're going to fall off the side of a mountain, and I had to go out there with a flashlight and show them that it was about a 6-inch drop, and that was it.
That's why I like to point my bumper lights down so I don't get that freak out.
Yeah, but even then, dude, nighttime hard wheeling is a whole
and then you know what
beast.
you can have, like we had I believe it was yesterday in our group where we had a big broody Frontier because they got a lot of overhang with that tailgate. He slid into a rock, and all of a sudden we're taking out the driver's side taillight and tailgate off. And
well, looky here, we got Miss Carrie Beasley.
Ma'am, I'm telling a story, but go right ahead.
Carrie, have a seat, Carrie. Go on, James.
Bye.
Way better looking than you, Jim. When the ladies come, Jim leaves.
All right, anyway, to finish up my story, moral of the story, I put 50 pounds of winch line on, and he just popped right out. Okay, whatever.
Something like that.
So like James put 50 pounds on, and that's over the weight limit for his new CVT tent, so he's giving it to Lifestyle Off-Road.
Excuse me, sir. I won that fair and square, and I will enjoy it.
I didn't say you didn't win it fair.
What up, Carrie?
I want to recount. So, Carrie, how was your Went going?
It was going great. It's going awesome.
Well,
Can you not hear me? Is that better?
That's much better.
You,
okay.
Carrie.
So, what's been your highlight so far?
Highlight was I didn't break anything this year.
Yeah. Well, that is a good highlight.
That is a highlight. And the women's run was great. I made it up to see the windmills this year.
Nice.
So, yep, I got to participate in that this year because I was not broken.
Was there any newbies on the trail in the women's run this year? Because I mean, not last year. Was it the year before that I went on the women's run?
It was the year before.
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
Last
you
year
went
you
with
guys
us.
did it.
Yeah. Oh, he went with you 2 years ago, and he was hungover and puked.
Yeah,
all over.
hungover.
That was a rough
I believe
day.
you got a little sick on trail.
I don't remember that at all.
Maybe. Maybe. Could be.
I was perfectly fine.
I don't know.
It was the air.
I think
The
there's
air was
pics that
too
prove
thick.
otherwise, Dan.
The air was thick, very thick.
Oh,
that day.
and then we had one of those man bear pigs coming out the woods at us on the night run.
Man bear pig.
Yeah, man bear pig.
I would just like to say that everybody was very lucky that Chris Tech didn't drive over here for the night run because I had some other slightly scarier masks prepared for the night run that didn't quite make it to me in time. So I was
Next
a
year,
little upset
Dan.
about
Maybe
that.
next year.
You're just going to remember to stay on the bank.
On the yeah.
Don't swing from the trees like a monkey.
Well, I had a really good wolf mask, which Luke is very, very well acquainted with the wolf mask from last year.
I mean, I was a little disappointed that Danny wasn't staying in our cabin this year because I've been pining over trying to figure out a revenge because I think every night I went to bed there was a mystical creature. I just spilled my beer.
Party foul, bro.
There was a mystical creature trying to scare the shit out of me.
I believe it was a Groot wolf, dude. It's kind of like
a Groodle?
A Groodle wolf, dude.
Hansel and Gretel.
It's kind of like a werewolf, but like less hardcore.
I just have to say something real quick. So James Soto won this completely awesome CVT tent. And, everybody wanted to win it. But me and Boondocks, if you are familiar with four-wheeling in the Midwest, you know what Boondocks is and who he is. We're super excited about him to mount that on his roof and then zip tie the zippers together. So at about 3 in the morning, after a few good beers, we just hear his zipper going back and forth and a lot of swear words because he cannot get off of the roof of his truck. And, it really brought joy to a lot of us.
Oh, man,
knowing that we're going to be able to experience this.
That would have been a beautiful collaboration.
We'll get
trickery.
videos. We'll get videos set up.
I'm sure a GLX event will happen where that goes down, and I wish I could be there.
If
you were within 8 hours of Attica, Indiana, you need to come to a GLX event because it's not necessarily about wheeling; it's about the people, and it's a lot of fun.
They've always looked like a blast, and I've always thought like, man, one day I want to do a little quick fly out.
But when you sit there and try and book a plane ticket to Indiana, you're just like, no, that seems really dumb. So then you don't do it.
That's the truth, and that's the truth. So, Carrie.
Yeah.
Truck hasn't broken.
Nope.
Do you have? I mean, is it set up where like everything's working good? Are you just like, it's perfect right now?
So you're like ready for the rock challenge?
Let's do it. No, my husband probably wouldn't be too happy with that, but yeah.
Anthony's shaking his head over here like, I don't think that's a good idea, baby. Have fun, but not that much fun.
Remember, we got to drive it home. We put manual locking hubs in the front, and it seemed to make a big difference getting rid of those auto locking hubs that came stock. So that made a huge difference for it.
Nice. Yeah, I remember I broke one of those on my first gen, and it was in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I just remember Anthony last year saying that he thought he was going on vacation, but all he did was get here and work.
That's true. I remember that. That
so
truck was
get
parked
on the trail the next day.
The truck was parked over there, and Anthony was working his ass off.
Yep.
So he's as happy as a clam. He's like, I'm just going to drink this time.
Yeah.
This is great. And in truth, I mean, there was a lot of breaks right off the bat.
Yeah,
a lot of trucks broke right off the bat. But since that time, I mean, there's only one truck that's been parked here that's been
the annual pilgrimage of.
Well, I will
Daniel.
say, Lifestyle Off-Road truck broke like 40 times in
but
one
it still
time.
drives. It's missing parts, but it still goes down the road.
A couple welder tags and some
So you guys hit some new trails. After recovery went, you've got to do some new stuff.
Well, it rained all day Tuesday, so Wednesday, I'm very fortunate in the difficult group. We know each other all very well. Every year we seem to get one or two people that's newer to the difficult group, but it seems like if you're ready to step into those shoes, you're going to fit in. So Wednesday we took it easy, but somehow we got back, and Thursday morning I'm missing a shock.
You're missing a shock?
Yeah.
That's right.
It was
gone.
I'm pulling a full Breslin.
Breslin's getting wrecked this year because he didn't show. He's gonna be so pissed when he listens to this.
But the weird thing is this morning somebody presents me with a shock, and it's the exact same shock that I run, but the wrong end is broken off. Huh? So I can't wrap my head around that one, but the tabs on the ends of the shock are welded on. So it's almost like somebody picked my shock up, welded the ends on, and then it broke off for them too and was laying in the middle of the trail. But, I mean, my truck is, right now, if it wasn't for Brady and for Andrew letting Brady borrow his Ready welder, I think I would be stuck in the middle of the woods somewhere.
This has to be the most carnage you've probably had here, right?
My poor truck is ready to be put to pasture, I feel almost.
No, I think after riding in mine.
Well, I'm going to patch it back together for like the 17th time, but I blew out a locker, I blew out an axle shaft, I blew out a drive shaft, I've got a tire
wheel
that
bearing
needs
was a little
replaced.
flim-flammy. You
Yeah,
got
my wheel bearing needed redone.
You joined on the axle shaft was a little slammed.
I'm going to go home, and my 2-car garage is going to fit my wife's truck and my Xterra because it's going to be exploded all over the place, getting a full rebuild.
Sounds like a good night to me.
Don't talk dirty in the podcast, please.
Speaking of the Dirty Bird, we got. Oh, Kelly's looking. There must be tequila around because all of a sudden limes are everywhere. We got Mr. Aaron Powers on the podcast. What's going on, Aaron?
Hello.
I've never seen a guy be so happy in his entire life.
And there's one reason. Hey, there's one reason for that. Well,
64 ounce.
There's 2 reasons. Let's be legitimate here. There's 2 reasons. One, Aaron, good for you, sir. 15 years of marriage.
15 years. I did it.
You brought the wife out this year. I mean,
no one has believed me that I've had a wife this entire time.
I hear you, dude. I just figured you were a drunk on the side of the road.
And a gorgeous one at that.
Yeah,
and she's beautiful.
Well,
and we broke her today on the ladies' run.
Yes.
And my wife Jenna couldn't make it this year, and all she said when I left was, "Let me know what Aaron's wife is like," because we thought she was like a mystical creature.
Well, I'm just going to say she didn't marry me for looks or money, so you guys can fill in whatever that might be.
Good for you, sir.
Thank you.
You know what? God loves us all in different ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He was bragging about the inches of his lift earlier. I don't know what he was talking about.
God gave me an action suit, and apparently he gave you something else.
It was the ability to drive down the trail with a log holding his suspension.
There you go.
That's probably it.
Hey, wait, I gave
that was hardwood.
I gave him that hardwood. So
I still have it. It's in the back of the truck if anybody wants to see it.
So wait. You get your wife to come wheeling because of you promised her a vacation and looks like you had a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
But you're still carrying the wood that Dave gave you a year later?
Well, it's a couple of years now that I've been carrying that wood. I was actually going to shellac it, but I haven't found the time to make that work. So I've just been driving around with it in the back in case I needed to use that hard
I would
wood
like
again.
my wood back, please.
I think that wood should be carved into an intricate, beautiful pattern of something.
I was thinking about actually putting it onto my my bumper on the front and somehow mounting that so that, a thing of pride.
Oh, and while you were speaking, your wife took a shot of tequila.
Another one.
Along with Dave's wife.
Yes.
So
we're almost out of that bottle that we just bought.
Are you kidding me? That's Patron, right?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
They're getting...
Wait. There's Patron over there?
There's a white girl wasted going on. Luke's out of here.
Luke.
Apparently, Luke likes the tequilas.
So this was a scary win for you, Aaron, because, you've been to every one, correct?
I have. I'm one of the last few OGs at the Went.
Yeah.
So in 15 years of marriage,
I didn't think
kind
I
of
was
came
gonna make it.
kind of came in between that.
No, since we changed it this year, moved it up a couple of weeks, it has become one of those things that I had to put out. I said I will do anything for the first part of the week as long as I can get at least 2 days of wheeling in.
And you've gotten no days of wheeling in, I don't think, have you?
Well, I got the night run in.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm going to do 36, but my wife is properly broke in now, and I have found a 2006 S model in black within 50 miles of my house for less than $7,000. So that's probably going to be...
Because that was when we came back to the cabin, you were talking to your wife, she was like, I need a black Gen 2 Xterra.
So I've already found it. I've already, gotten through we're in the woods, taking the time to get the phone to load. And I've already found it. So
literally, you're scouring.
It's probably going to be next weekend. We're going out test driving this thing. So, and then I'm going to have some work ahead of me to turn it into a better rig than mine.
So Went is really hurting your wallet, basically.
It doesn't matter.
In a
she
good
can have
way.
whatever she wants.
Attaboy. That's why
That's
15
right.
years. That's
15 years.
And Aaron and I are basically on the same path. What's the actual date?
Yesterday, the 7th.
The 7th. So September?
Yep.
7th.
September 7th, 2002.
So mine's August 10th. So I've been married 1 month, almost 1 month more.
Can we add mine together?
So we were basically two love-struck birds in different worlds.
Yes, and I knew her for 10 years before that. We dated in high school.
Holy
So
piss!
Your high school.
We're basically the same age, right, Aaron?
I don't know what basically means, but
well, if you were high school sweethearts with her or for 10 years, and I was high school sweethearts with mine for 2 years. We're basically the same age, right?
That sounds like the correct
That is
math.
Nissan Nation podcast math.
Yes, it is.
Sounds good to me.
So Aaron, you've got the big gulp going on. You were excited because now this is the time for us to kind of let go and just have some fun. And for some reason, one of our buddies works for Miller Lite, which is your beer of choice, correct?
Absolutely.
And it's
I
never
should be sponsored if they're listening.
No, I agree.
I told my wife I'd probably get their logo tattooed on my belly. So,
from what you said, there's no room because the monster goes over the belly. But so our buddy Kevin Rice, who works for a Miller distributor, it never dawned on us out of 7 years of doing
Kevin
this.
Rice? I don't know this. I don't know.
Yes.
This is all news to me.
I've known this since the beginning, and I've told him he needs to either sponsor me or bring me kegs of beer.
But it really, out of the 6 years we've done it here, it never dawned on us to go, hey, Kevin, can we just buy a keg from you?
Well, you break it down, and somebody said, hey, people want to put in on it, and it came out to about $20, and I'm like, well, shoot, I usually do a case a day when I'm at Went.
Yeah, every time I come here, I walk up and Aaron's like, hey, you want a Miller?
Yeah.
I go, yeah, and then I walk over to the back of his truck, and he's got like a cooler the size of Manhattan, and he snags one out, and I'm like, are you like supplying Went?
Well,
and he's like, no, this is for tonight.
Exactly.
There was one raffle me and you were emceeing where it was like Aaron was like our backstage guy.
Yeah,
it
he
was
was just
like
handing them out. Here you go. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Keep that voice looped.
Exactly. I can't let anybody go with the dry voice.
So
it's a sad thing.
So Aaron, what keeps bringing you back, man? Because you were there for the original.
I was there for the original. It was weird because my wife talked me into getting an Xterra, which I had no interest in at all. And I bought the truck, and she's like, well, you're not going to do anything to it, right? And I'm like, no. And I'd modify everything that I get. So
of course.
I see this thing online. Hey, we're getting together. And that was back at Woolies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you guys were like, hey, you need to take off the stock skid plate or the mud flaps, and you need to take off the Nerf bars. And she's like, you're going to put those back on, right? I'm like, yeah, no problem. You're not going to put any stickers on this thing, right? No. And now this thing's covered up, and, I've done a few mild modifications with the budget that I had at the time. And I don't know, I've just got a real heavy skiddy pedal, and it's just been an addiction ever since.
Well,
so.
I remember you slightly at the first Went, or the first NXM Went. I remember you, and I remember your truck being like you were parked on for our first group picture. You were parked kind of like in the very end. I feel like you had a prime spot for it. And I remember looking back, going, I don't remember this guy really, but I remember you and your buddy George being there.
Yeah.
And so then, before the next NXM here at WENTwindrock Park, me and you came up here in the spring, and we wheeled. And I really didn't know you from a hill of beans. But I was watching you bash through shit, and I was just like, okay, he's good. Okay, I can wheel with this guy because
I don't know if it's good or stupidity. But
no, because you were like, that's what I bought sliders for. Because you were just we were going down the old steps at 22, and you just drug all the way down. And that poor Xterra was just like, please stop. And Aaron's like, what? We're just going down here.
And I've really not had any major damage at all. Body's still perfect on it.
Yeah.
I've got no issues. Rear corners.
Well, you bragged to me a couple years ago about your first trail damage.
Yeah, well,
you backed into something.
Actually, it's still on YouTube, I believe. It was a real rainy one that we had here, and I go back and I watch it every once in a while. I'll pull it up for guys at work, and I'm like, oh, watch this, and then you can hear somebody in the back. They're like, oh my God, he's stuck. We got to winch him out, and somebody says, no, that's Aaron. He'll be out in a minute. So. And that's all it is, man. Skinny pedal. And my wife's actually been talking to quite a few people here saying that I just keep hearing you in the back of my mind. Just give it the gas. Just go.
That's
and
right.
it gets it.
What would Aaron do?
What would Aaron do? Just gun it.
I need a bracelet like that.
Right.
But so of course, and then we had the classic recovery where you broke a torsion bar.
Yeah,
and
that was just sitting still on the trail, and it blew out.
Yeah, I've never, bam, and gone.
And it sounded like a shotgun going off, and somebody said, "What was that?" I said, "No, it's just my truck breaking in half." And we looked back, and my truck's just shaking violently back and forth because all that pent up energy that was in there.
And that's when we used the wood to get you out.
Yes,
I was finding like old hard wood to like somehow pin against the arm.
It was so hard for me because you told me I absolutely under no circumstance am I to give this any gas at all. I need to just creep off of this mountain, and it was so hard for me not to do.
I know because
what I do.
Yeah, you can't just bash through things.
Well, speaking of skinny pedal,
speaking of bashing through things,
we just had Boondocks. Which everybody calls him Boondocks. His real name is Brian, but nobody ever cared about that name.
Could never have.
The only
guessed
reason
that.
I know his name is Brian is because your friends requested me, and then I put two and two together like 8 months later. But so Boondocks is running a 2-wheel drive Xterra.
The only one.
The only one here.
Only 2-wheel drive.
Second gen, 2-wheel drive, and he cruised with us today. So I got So I got firsthand experience, and this isn't his first rodeo. He's been wheeling about as long as any of us old school dudes from way back. You know, the Wild Bill guy and all these guys, Buck Norton, Breslin, and Ryan Miller. He's one of the OG crews. He brought out his 2-wheel drive, and
which he has like 4 or 5. It seems
he's
like
got
Nissans.
all kinds of Nissans over there at his place.
And it's like that night, man. He finds his favorite sword, and he's just pulling. He's pulling it out.
He's like, I like the rapier, and I'm going to use it this weekend. And you're like, you can't kill an ogre with a rapier, and you're like, Boondocks can. So we went out on a trail today, which was it was a blue trail.
53 or in a 30.
Yeah, whatever these stinking. I've been out here a million years, and no matter what, they're like, oh, we went on Slimmy Slimsland 23, 86, and then 93. And I'm like, sure, man. I followed the guy in front of me.
Is the one that you guys said that I cannot make it up here? He goes, you should probably turn around and drive back to the camp.
I didn't say that. Whoever may have said that obviously didn't. Yeah, well, in truth, if I would have run that trail myself, I would have never believed a 2-wheel drive could have gone through there. I never would have. And there was 4 obstacles where guys would take 3-4 tries and they're 4 low, maybe lockers on. And
y'all were on 30 again today.
Yep.
Yeah.
I broke a rock there.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Just the rock.
I mean, I was in the Nistec truck. I didn't put the lockers on because I wasn't as familiar with the truck and I didn't even know. But I didn't put lockers on. But there's a couple things where I'd go up and you spin a couple tires and get a new line and go over it 4 low. And then here comes Boondocks, skinny pedal to the floor, white smoke bouncing off everything, flies up in 2-wheel drive, and I'm like, holy shit. Every time I went through something where I was like, man, we're going to have to winch him up, somehow, I mean, you took a few tries at him, obviously. With 2-wheel drive, you got to take a few tries. You got to bump and find your line, and because there's only so many lines in a 2-wheel drive truck. Yeah, absolutely. And tell us your strategy at 2-wheel drive and trails like that.
It's all throttle control. You feel the bump in the tire, you hit the gas, and then you let off, and then feel it again, and just keep on just feathering it, and you'll get up there.
It's a whole different mindset.
You guys are all just pansies in 4-wheel drive.
That's like full throttle, half throttle. I think is feathering.
Well,
right?
you got goosing and you got bumping. I did a lot of goosing today.
It was mostly goosing, and there was white smoke. Like there are rocks now that are now black that did not start that way. There was a slab that was about 5 feet wide and 4 feet long, or whatever.
It's going to be great for my tire warranty. It says I got 70,000 miles on it, and I'm going to turn it in and go, look, I only got 20,000 on these tires.
I think you lost 10,000 miles just on the rear tires. Your front tires are going to be brand new. The back ones are going to be bald. You're like, I just went off-roading a couple times.
I just took it to Tennessee and back. I don't know what's wrong.
But I was mind blown at the shit that you went up today, which, you know what? Hats off to you, dude, on that.
Like 53 at the very top of that first obstacle. Everybody had to be spotted or whatever. and I just said, "Go, move out of the way. I got this," and just and through there.
Because I don't think I really had to spot you on the first day you were. I mean, I just kept an eye on.
No, you just walk away.
Yeah, because I was like, Brian's just gonna do what Brian does. I ain't gonna worry about it.
And
there's only a few people that do that.
Yeah, and Holden looks at me. He's like, "Here comes Ryan." And I was like, "He's like, I don't even know how to spot this guy. He's in two-wheel drive." He's like, "He kind of does what he needs to do." And I was like, "Reggie will tell you if he needs to know what to do, you know." And I would hop in once or twice and be like, "Hey, you know, you got to try and get your tire over here." But that's basically all the spotting that you need, because really, it's just you feel it more than we're ever going to be able to.
It's all on feel.
Yeah, it's not like you can turn you were tell me to turn your wheels back.
I was in the mud pit and off different obstacles, and this guy over here, Boyd, goes, "Just turn your wheel back and forth." I'm thinking, what the heck is this going to do? I'm two-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's not like I'm going to get a grip with the front tires.
Since I've been wheeling with all the whole Nissan crew, the last time I wheeled with a two-wheel drive guy is, you know, just maybe cruising around in the deserts in California, which, you know, you're not spotting. You're just cruising up and down, you know, Mojave roads and stuff like that.
And I did all the trails, no sliders this year.
Oh, that's right, no sliders. Well, that's more ground clearance.
Yeah.
But it truly is. It's pogo sticking. You know, you come, you bounce, get more throttle when you come down. You bounce up again, get more throttle. You realize your front tire's not going over. We stacked one or two rocks here and there, but it wasn't
your
gnarly.
rock was smaller than a baseball.
No, that was the last rock. That was the last rock I put a rock down. I'm like, I don't even know why I just put that rock there. I mean, we winched you back off a rock because you got a little high center. Not a big deal.
No, because it was pivoting. It was going with
and
Xterra.
then when we winched you back, the whole rock stuck your whole truck up in the air like a foot. And I was like, all right, hold on a second. But in truth, man, like,
now I just told you to move.
Yeah, you're like, I got this. I'm going to freaking get after it. And so I step to the side. He flies by me. And because, I mean, it's all about momentum. Two-wheel drive is nothing but momentum and throttle control. And he flies by me and stomps on the throttle again. And his wife's sitting over on the side. You know, she just basically just cruises along and smiles. Your wife's cool, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the second time I met her. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, so I barely remember her. But she cracks me up because she just sits back and smiles. And goes, "He'll make it." And you flew by me, and literally I just got splattered with mud, rocks. I'm like, covering my face.
Well, you missed him when we were on 82. So there's a couple logs in a mud hole on 82, and I'm just looking at this at first with my group going, I don't. We're gonna get stuck here no matter what, because there was one way if we would have went the other way, it'd been easy climb the way the logs are stacked. But you got one big fat log right in front of it, and it's like a staircase down. So and Kelly's super hesitant about. She don't want to get into it. So I'm trying to creep her across instantly, right on the frame on this log. So Brian had to pull her back, and finally I think I got in the truck and we got it through there. Well, then I think Brian was like, "All right, I got this, man, no problem." And then you high centered, but finally like skinny pedal Brian came out, and it was like. And then it was just mud everywhere. And I was like, yeah.
The only reason I didn't make it because I had my VDC on.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden I was going over the obstacle and going, whoa.
Trying to spin the tires don't work with the VDC on.
No!
But so what's been your highlight of Went so far, Brian?
Today showing up the 4x4s.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. The whole time I was thinking, like, every time you made it up something, I was like, damn, dude, like, that's got to feel like $1 million because, like I said, there was dudes in four-wheel drives who, you know, 3-4 tries,
they're
same amount of tries.
Yeah, 4 tries, and I walked through there, and they're like...
The one, Bo went up one, he put it in four-wheel drive, put like 4 tries on it. You did it first try in two-wheel drive, and I was like...
And no spotting?
No spotting. I mean,
you guys just moved out of the way because I was coming fast.
Well, because, I mean, you really...
That's the truth.
You really can't spot a two-wheel drive. You can kind of, if there's some danger or something, but because you just got to go where the truck's going to go.
Like yesterday when I kissed the tree, or Wednesday, today went around the same obstacle, missed the tree altogether.
Well, that was just you hit the perfect rock and just threw that back in.
Well,
right
you can't spot fast enough because you're going so fast that the reaction times are you. You know, I can't tell you go left because by the time I tell you to go left, you recognize it and go left. You're already 3 feet past the part that I would tell you to
Last
change.
year, Boyd, he's like trying to direct me, and all of a sudden I said, "You you just got to move out of the way because I'm going down that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
If I ask you a question of where do you think I need to put my tire because you have a better eyeball on it, that's the spotting. Like the spotting is basically like, hey, tell me where my tire needs to be so when I blast through this thing, I know where I can best get up. That's
But I feel like it was like that last year too, because I think you were on it. We were coming down 22, and there's a rock garden.
Yeah.
That I got hung up on. Was on smaller tires, but I got hung up on, and it was just like you just had to kind of bash through it, you know.
And I was gonna say, for the record, he doesn't even have a rear locker.
No.
It's one wheel.
It's one wheel with a little bit of clutchy in there.
Fryer,
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, but you guys did a great job spotting when you did need to spot, like one or twice, like this
Once
week.
or twice. Yeah, like, maybe put your tire.
I think
here.
the spotting he's talking about was what restaurant we were going to.
Yeah, for real.
Good moral support with the clapping at the end, but.
So Danny.
Yeah.
It's starting to get quiet here, man.
I know. We gotta pull in some new crews.
Some new crews.
Kevin Smith Overland's here. He's chilling
Boondock's
way
out.
back there.
Kevin
Boondock's
Smith
out of here. He's gonna go sit at the booze table.
I am a little scared of this.
There's always a table. Hep's designs. Hep never wants to come over here and chat on the mic because he's too busy sitting over at the boozy table. There's about 14 different bottles of booze over on that table.
Kevin Smith.
Smith Overland's coming over here. Smith life. Aaron's going back to the tequila table, the ladies' table.
From one light man to another, we got Kevin Smith of Smith Overland. Kevin, how's your Went going, buddy?
It's going good.
What's been your highlight so far?
Oh, I think Trail 16 was the highlight. Great day of trailing. Had some little snafus that we had to work out. Got Rob Toback in the.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like he fell in a V-notch and was.
He was in there deep. We had to winch him out.
Yeah.
He was reaching out his driver door and grabbing clay. He was so close to the.
But knowing Rob, he was happy to do that too.
Well, there's a lot of trails that get washed out. They get those big run-throughs through. You know, like you have a trail that's made. You know, it's dirt, and then the rain will come and it'll make a big old giant ravine down the middle of the trail. And if you slip into one, which happens a lot, because it happened to us today, we got a guy touching a rock on his fender. If you slip into one of those holes, man, or one of those little ravines in the middle of the trail, you know, because whether you slip into an accident or you're trying to go that route, those things are no joke, man. Those ravines, they get you.
Yeah, they're deep, and what we were trying to do is straddle it, but it was like an arch on either side. It was like a balance beam for the trucks. In fact, James Soto came after Rob, and it took us 4 tries to get him through. Every time we started getting him there, his ass end would start sliding into the ditch, and we'd back up, come back out, start it again.
That's that peanut butter.
It's
it just kind of turns into the slippery stuff.
And it really is like you call this peanut butter, but it I can't describe. It's a mixture of sand and
little clay kind of stuff, and
I mean you really could smear it like peanut butter. And when you're driving over it, you just hear that stickiness of it.
Truck moves all over.
Tacky stuff.
So it seems like, Kevin, every year you are our cheerleader of the year, man, and I want to take credit for that, you know, because I brought Kevin up. No,
Dave's horn, he's pulling on his own horn.
No, but who's been kind of your star guy of the year? Because your groups usually want to stick together. Who's been kind of your outstanding person on the trails this week?
In my groups or whatever? I'd have to actually say there's a couple that come to mind, but I think Tom Pankow has been kind of a surprise for me. I've never trailed with him before, and got to know him pretty well. And we had a couple. We had John Ransom, who got wedged pretty tight into by the waterfalls on 16.
Little rock touching.
Yeah, it was a lot of rock.
It
had the potential for a lot of damage, and Tom had just a good, cool head and helped us do some common sense stuff that I wouldn't have pulled out of my.
Save some more extra damage that could have happened, right?
Yeah. We John had his Frontier wedged against a rock right behind the wheel well, And had we pulled him forward, we would have torn out the tail
tail
light
light
and possibly the tailgate.
Nerfed up the tailgate.
So first thing we did was take off the tail light and the tailgate, which was Tom's idea, and then winched him out. But that was pretty cool. It was a team effort, and I was impressed with Tom because he was a great team player.
Well, when that happened to John, was he like, oh, man?
It's like a drag strip, right?
Yeah. All right, so we are back from Hurricane Went. Our event area is run by a generator, and that generator needs said fuel, and said fuel ran out.
I just looked over, too, and there's like 8 guys filling the generator up somehow.
Yeah.
It takes 8 dudes.
Never seen so many guys handle 1 can of gas before. So I don't even know where we were at, Kevin. We were talking about John's recovery. Tom had really kind of impressed you that he wasn't one of those guys that said, "Hey, just drive through it."
John decided that when I said stop, that meant go, and so he decided to take matters in his own hands, and he's got the badge to show for it. But it was good. We got him sorted out, and it was a team effort. Tom and James Soto and a couple other guys. We got them all out of there and winched them out and kept going. Then we went all the way up the rest of 16, turned around, came back, and I had a scary incident where I had to do a little possible trespassing to get out on the...
What's a Went without a possible trespassing situation?
So yeah, I mean, you were telling me it was like signs everywhere, no ATVs or something, and
I thought I would be a good off-road citizen and go and just knock on the homeowner's door for permission, and it was a scary place full of squalor and feces and dilapidated cars and shotgun shells. So I knocked twice and then skedaddled out of there.
So very inviting. Yes.
Wow. I'm actually kind of bummed that I missed that. That sounds like a hell of an adventure.
Yeah, those are Danny kind of adventures.
Yeah, sometimes the adventures
the
that
guy
I like
had
to get into are a
a
little sketchy.
20-foot pond with a 14-foot power boat sitting in it. Apparently his son lived in it.
Well, we have hurricane. What is it? What hurricane is it right now? Irma.
I can't keep track, man.
Irene, I don't know, but we have a hurricane. So you got to get your children ready here in East Tennessee and get them in a boat as soon as possible.
Everybody hunker down.
Was there 2 of them? So like Noah's Ark?
There were 2 boats. There weren't 2 of everything, but there were 2 boats.
40-foot pond, 20-foot boat.
So everything, any other trail damage or anything going on?
Let's see. We had towback in the rut. We had ransom in the wedge fix there on the boulders. We had on the first day we had a bunch of Frontiers get hung up on the telephone poles on 83.
Isn't it ironic though? They quit making the Xterra who can go through anything, and yet the Frontier who has to turn like 15 times to get around everything.
Ain't that the truth? I know that. Dave knows that because he kept getting out of the Frontier, and you, Ray.
Yes, I did.
Because he was tired of looking down the cliff. He's like, "Yeah, it's too many turns. I'm gonna get out and take pictures."
And speaking of that, Corey Sane hit me up. He goes, "So you sounded pretty scared on that podcast."
And that's the truth.
Yeah, and I was like, it was pretty bad, Corey.
That was pretty funny. It wasn't that bad. Dave just
it wasn't that bad when you're on the rock side of the wall and you're not looking down 1,000 feet. It wasn't that bad, Dan.
I like heights, so for me, the higher the better. And in truth, I'm trying to pressure the wife to go skydiving for my birthday.
Nice.
Because nothing sounds better than jumping out of an airplane.
So the next host of the Nissan Nation podcast could be you.
Danny jumps out of a plane in the next episode.
That would be fun to interview you as you're going down.
Yeah, that's all you hear. Woo!
Yeah.
Just a bunch of wind noise.
Boom.
Live cast.
Yeah, live cast. I'm in a plane. This is going to be awesome. Whoa! That was awesome.
And I'm dead.
And
so Dan,
we had a little scrub today. Pat put it like we were talking about earlier. Pat put his he dropped his tire down into
one of those long like ravines in the middle of the trail where if you're not up on the edge, instead of kind of riding the ravine, sometimes you can ride the ravine and sometimes you have to ride the ravine because it's too steep on the side for your tire to hold.
Yeah, as a rule, I usually tell people get in the ruts and stuff. As a rule,
it's so subjective to it really is whatever trail you're running on. Is there a rock in the ravine, or if you're just gonna like drag it against a little bit of mud or whatever. But he dropped down. It was a hard drop, and then all of a sudden, we had all done it, no problem. And he was coming down, and all of a sudden he said, "Hey, guys, I'm on a rock right now." We go up there, and sure enough, his right front or his left front fender's on a rock. So we ran some winch line up to a tree and pulled him off the rock. He got a little scrub on the fender, but luckily he winched right off it, and and in truth, almost all of these things, if you just keep a cool head, you look at the situation. You say, okay, what's the easiest and best way to kind of fix this situation, keep the damage level to a very minimum. It always comes out good. And in truth, too, is so many of these trails, a lot, and to not to scare everybody that say, hey, if you're going to come here, you're going to get a bunch of body damage. Most of the guys that go on the trails that are a little bit more extreme or a little bit, intermediate trails, that there's a possibility you might touch a tree or you might get a little rock scrape on the side of your truck. So it's something to keep in mind. But at the same time, is nobody ever gets pressured into doing a trail that they're not ready to do. Nobody ever gets pressured into going on a trail that it's not like, hey,
everybody's doing it.
Yeah, everybody's going to go get wrecked on this, body damage front to back. So there's definitely. Don't ever get scared and think, oh, I don't want to take my truck out there because I'm just going to drop into these crazy ravines.
I got scared on 16. Did James is already here telling you about he was coming up a ledge and I was spotting him? Did he tell you that?
Oh, yeah. He's talking about he almost ran you over.
I'm standing in front of his truck like, okay, Jim, just bump it. Just bump it a little bit. Next thing I'm looking at his skid plates as his two front tires are on either side of my ears.
A hell of a bump, I would say. One hell of a bump.
I initiated the trail leader tuck and roll and dove to the right.
Classic. I think he told me about that. He said I was trying to bump this spot, and then all of a sudden I was looking at the sky, and then Kevin was running for his life, and I was like, "How hard you bump that shit, bro?"
And so there's nowhere to be found to back this up.
That's okay. You'll probably talk about it for like 4 hours anyways.
Or there's green tent that everybody wants.
Waiting to zip tie it closed up.
I wonder if we could just start offering you money, what it would take to buy that tent.
Oh man,
$50. A handy J. No, anyways. So Kevin, everything's been great for you. Been a peaceful. I mean, it's been kind of a quiet Went. It's been
a good Went. I think it's been a very chill Went. We had some great days of wheeling, despite the torrential downpour that was 14 hours or so on Tuesday.
Yeah,
it was horrific. The amount of rain that we had there. And to be out wheeling on Wednesday was amazing. Just how fast the trails cleared off. So that was awesome.
And it's a testament to WENTwindrock. I think they really take care of these trails, and the drainage is all figured out.
I was pretty blown away today just how dry. I mean,
it's already getting dusty.
Yeah, I went through so many big, just I don't want to call them water crossings, but big puddles and stuff. You go through a puddle, and then 5 feet down the road is dry. So it dries out pretty quick. It's nice in that manner. But this one was a little bit weird just because we had we have the huge hurricane going right up Florida right now. We had a bunch of guys from Florida come out here and basically had to turn around after the first day.
Yeah, we had Nestor, one of our trail leaders.
Yeah,
and bless his heart, man. The dude, he texted me and Luke, and he was like, "Hey, man, I've got this coming up," and I was like, "If you got to bail, you got to bail." And he's like, "No, dude, I made a commitment. I'm going to be there." And I'm like, that's more than I think I could say, because if I knew my family might be in potential danger, I'd be And at the time that the hurricane could have went, they were saying it could go out to sea again. But we just put out the call to all the people here, and it was pretty amazing that night. I think we had 54 cases of water and stuff for them to take back.
Was two trailers, or was it two trailers or
No,
one trailer?
just one trailer.
And then Joel had a truck.
Yeah.
Did you load Joel's truck up as well?
Well, yeah, we loaded the backup of his truck up with water. They went out and they bought, I don't know how many sheets of plywood.
Yeah.
Because I guess
Borrow
that's a
windows
scarce.
and stuff like that, yeah.
And then it was kind of funny because Nestor said his family was hitting him up with, like, weird requests like peanut butter.
Oh, yeah.
Which we were just talking about. But
stuff
I guess
that you wouldn't be able to get local.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess and it keeps. So if you're going to be, without a refrigerator for several days.
For sure.
But our hearts, pour to those guys. It hasn't hit yet. By the time this podcast launches, it'll probably the damage will already be there. But please,
those guys are all taken care of, and
do what you can if you're in Florida. Do what you can to be safe, help others, and just do more. That's my big slogan.
Be good people and take care of each other. That's
do more.
What it comes down to,
Yeah, and the Red Cross, you can always help that way, or you can just go actually lend a hand and get a chainsaw and help cut people out.
Yeah.
So Danny, I think this is about going to wrap it up for Went 2017.
Yeah,
man.
we chatted about all the good stories. We had all the big players here. It was great to have all these guys that a lot of different voices that we've had on from Went. We've had a few.
Breslin was on the podcast, sort of getting his balls bashed a little bit.
Yeah. Breslin's usually on the podcast at Went, but this year he was only on the podcast as the villain.
The villain.
Oh, poor kid. We worked hard to get him hooked up, and he ran into some bad luck. But that doesn't matter because if he's not here, he can't defend himself, and so we'll just talk mad smack about him.
That's right. So from everybody here at the Nissan Nation podcast, from Kelly, JR, does the music, to all of our funky guests like Carrie Beasley, Mr. Kevin Smith, Aaron Powers, and everybody, I want to say a big thank you to the organizers, of Went. I did a great job. I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Let me do this, Dave. Let me take it from him. All the amazing sponsors: Regal Nissan, Niztec, Offroad Gorilla,
Xterra Performance,
Lifestyle Off-Road, 515 Racing,
Offroad Gorilla, Rugged Rocks.
CVT Tents was huge this year. Insane Fab,
Extermination.
G-Packs, VCX.
Insane Fab.
Heps Designs, VCXC, right? No,
VAXC.
Sorry, my acronyms are getting
Jesus, Callie.
Military guy. The acronyms get a little flompy.
And I find it amazing. We're listening to Little Tupac, California Dreamin', and that's what Dan is about to be doing as he heads home.
California, where the sun is.
So from everybody here at the Nissan Nation podcast, my name is David Boyd, and what are we, Danny? Peace, everybody. Love y'all.